and we're on for 30 minutes. It's a live internet streaming.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone. This is Laura Smith on Blog Talk Radio. Good evening. It is 10:30 p.m. here in Calgary, Alberta. Friday night, August 19th. I'm glad to be here. This is Child Abuse Prevention is Up to Us, and we're on for 30 minutes. It's a live internet streaming radio broadcast from blogtalkradio.com. And the chat room's open. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I really appreciate it. I've missed a few shows this last, few weeks, and one yesterday I missed. I slept in yesterday and missed my morning show, so I missed the odd show. So yeah, sorry about that for people who are here waiting. And I try to make all my shows, or at least cancel them if I'm not going to be able to do them. But I'm glad to be here tonight. Friday night. I love Fridays anyway, and I've got some. It's been a sort of a harsh couple of days for me. I'm no longer the Canada Regional Director for Dreamcatchers For Abused Children. I resigned my position yesterday and last night actually. And so I won't be affiliated with Dreamcatchers For Abused Children anymore. And so it's kind of a sad day for me. It was a great opportunity. It was great. It was a great way to really get my voice out there, and a collaboration of voices. Really, that's what Dreamcatchers For Abused Children is all about. And it was a good experience. I really enjoyed it. Met some really awesome people. It was great to be a part of it. I love Dreamcatchers For Abused Children. Always will support them. As far as supporting their work and what they're doing, I think they're a great organization, and they, really out there trying to stop child abuse. And that's just right up my alley. So, it was a hard decision to make, but it was one that I needed to do. And these things, you have to do what you have to do. And I just felt that just for personal reasons that it couldn't stay on. And so that's the break. It's kind of an interesting couple of days for me, just unhooking from them, because I was so entrenched in everything that I was doing was really for the benefit, to benefit Dreamcatchers For Abused Children, as well as, my own advocacy work, and as well as trying to stop child abuse, which is the main goal. So I'm just going to continue on. I was doing Blog Talk Radio here before I even was really volunteering with Dreamcatchers For Abused Children. I think I was a regular volunteer with them when I started doing Dreamcatchers For Abused Children. I didn't know them all that well, and then shortly after, I started doing Blog Talk Radio is when they asked me to come on as the Canada Regional Director. So, it's been over a year that I've been with those guys, and so it is going to be a little bit tough. But I'm just going to keep going, because my whole goal is to stop child abuse, and I'm just going to keep on going with whoever I can get involved with. I mean, I don't really care who it is. If they're out there doing some good work, and their goal and their main goal is to stop child abuse and to promote education and awareness, regarding child abuse, then I'm in. And so I'll find, another group to hook up with, and I'm also going to continue on my own advocacy work, which is what I've been doing the whole time anyway. I had no intentions of canceling these shows for any reason except for other than the fact that I was just going to move on from these shows. You know what I mean? Like I've been out here almost 2 years now. And I've been, over the last, 2 years at certain times, I was thinking, well, I mean, have I done enough shows? You know what I mean? I've done almost 800 shows. I really was shooting for 1,000. I wanted to get 1,000 shows done by November, but that's just not going to happen. I'd have to be on here every day, at least 2 or 3 times a day to get that done. So, it's just not going to happen. But that was my goal. I wanted to have 1,000 shows here and just have them sit here in Blog Talk Radio forever, and people could come and listen and hear what I have to say about child abuse and stopping child abuse, my own personal story, and, get some good information, about different people who are doing some great things. I have a guest coming on my show Sunday morning, 8 o'clock a.m., a little bit early for a lot of people. But Kate Swift out of the UK, out of England, is going to be on the show for half an hour, and she's the founder of This Tank Web. It's a charitable organization in the UK, and she's a survivor. She's an advocate. She's the founder of RSOSA, Reaching Survivors of Sexual Assault or Sexual Abuse. She's just doing all kinds of stuff. So she writes books. She's an author, and what she did was the members of the group RSOSA, which includes me, all put together some poems, and she put it all together in a book, and it's called Silent No More. And so she's coming on the show to talk about it on Sunday morning. So I hope you will join us for that, because that's going to be awesome. And I love to talk to Kate Swift, and she's been on my show, I believe twice now, and so now Sunday will be 3 times. And I always love talking to her because I don't get to talk to her very often, so it's great. And yeah, it's just wonderful to see that many survivors come together with their poetry and, you know, the truth and the reality behind what child sexual abuse did to them. My poems are in there, you know, a couple of them anyway. I don't write a whole lot of poetry. I don't write a whole lot of anything. I'm just a newly published author, right? So I'm just starting to write books, which I'm going to be writing lots and lots more. And, you know, this is the thing, right? Child sexual abuse is so harsh on people. That's what I've been talking about this last 2 months on my evening shows, was child sexual abuse. And that's because I'm facing my own child sexual abuse that I suffered as a child. Right? So I'm just, you know, covering the material, talking about it, you know, and I feel that we do need to talk about it. It's an issue. You know, children are being abused. Children are being abused in every way. You know, and so that's why I do these shows, you know, and I usually post a discretionary graphic warning on my shows. Tonight I'm actually just going to talk, so I'm not really going to, I just decided that I wanted to just fill everybody in on what I'm doing, and that I'm no longer with Dreamcatchers for Abused Children, and, you know, I always will support them, but, you know, I'm moving on. And, you know, it's just a show to talk tonight. I really didn't have a particular subject that I wanted to talk about, but it's just the seriousness of this. Kids are dying. You know what I mean? And this is what gets me up every day and really gets me motivated to do something. You know what I mean? Because I know the reality what these kids are going through out here as a survivor myself. You know what I mean? Like, I know what it did to me physically, emotionally, psychologically. You know what I mean? It's had its toll on me, you know, and I don't think any child should ever have to suffer that. And there shouldn't be any child having to grow up and feel these things and be affected this way as an adult and have to try to make sense of the past and put the past where it belongs and try to learn how to live, which is absolutely ridiculous. But this is the reality that so many people face. You know what I mean? I know a lot of survivors, obviously, with the work that I'm doing, and you know it's so harsh to see what the effects are, the aftermath. You know what I mean? Of abuse. You know, I don't think any child. I mean, that's what I'm saying. No child should ever be abused. And we really need to stop it, you know, and there are ways to stop it. I think that the public likes to think that there aren't, and that way they can just, you know, it's like, oh, well, we can't fix it, so let's just move on. But, you know, I think that's just a cop-out. I really do. I think there's answers to everything, and I think if we look hard enough and we look at the issues and work to fix them one by one, certainly not going to happen overnight, but we can certainly make a big, huge dent in this thing in this generation. I really believe we can. But we need everybody on board. Right, like we need everybody's voice. We need everybody, out there talking to their local lawmakers. We need people out there signing petitions, sending petitions to the governments to say, look, children are just not expendable. Children are precious. They are the future, and we should stop child abuse. Why we're working to fight to stop cancer. You know, especially North America, man, we're pumping in, so much money into stopping cancer. I'm all for it, because I believe there is a cure, and I believe that we'll find it, and that's just my belief. But, I just think it's great that people are so much, behind, let's stop cancer. But then when it comes to child abuse, it's like, no, who wants to deal with that? Who cares about those little kids anyway? A lot of people's attitude is, why should they care, right? It's not their children, right? This is a human life we're talking about. Just like that cancer patient that's laying in the hospital, this is a human life. There is no difference. The only difference is one's got a disease that was brought on by some sort of genetic thing that wasn't anybody's fault and nobody's doing to them, and sometimes people get cancer because they do things like, for whatever, smoking cigarettes or whatever. But, cancer, I mean, who wants it? Nobody. Well, no child wants to be abused, I tell you that. And it's just like society just says, well, throw our hands up. Guess there's nothing we can do. Let's just forget about it. And it's like, no, we're not going to forget about it because there's too many of us that are willing to sit here and talk about it. And so we're just going to keep shoving it out there, in everybody's face, because this is the issue. If we don't and we all sit down and shut up, it's going to continue on and on and on, and nothing will be done about it, It's just like cancer. If they don't continue to look for a cure, the cure will never be found. They have to continue to look for the cure. We have to keep continuing to look for the answers to stop child abuse. I like to compare it with that because it is totally comparable. It's something that you can totally gauge it by. Society just thinks that there's nothing they can do about child abuse. It's a family problem. No, it's not. No, it's not. I tell you that. It is everyone's problem. And these kids that grow up in these homes become society's problem. And it is everyone's problem. And so, this is the issue. And that's just if they live and make it. So many won't, right? So many will die. tonight and tomorrow night and the next day, and then if they don't die, from being murdered and killed, they just die in the hospital from the abuse-related injuries, right? And then later on, 20, 30 years later, if they actually live through the abuse after 15 years of it, they might kill themselves later on. So, they're dying one way or another. It's absolutely horrific, right? It needs to stop. And so, whether I'm with Dreamcatchers for Abused Children or not, I'm going to keep going and I'm going to keep talking and I'm going to keep working because I'm a powerful voice. You bet I am. And the reason why? Because I'm willing to sit here and talk about this stuff. Hardly nobody wants to talk about this stuff. And it's really hard to find people who are willing to shout it out. And so, I'm just willing to do that. So this, I'm not special. I'm just your average Joe Blow who was abused as a child. Most people would say big whoop-de-doo. You know what I mean? But my thing, I'm passionate, about stopping child abuse. So I'm not going to go away. You know what I mean? I'm just going to keep on going, and it doesn't matter to me who I'm advocating with or if I'm just doing it on my own, whatever. But I will be making a lot of noise because this is absolutely ridiculous. And, we can find the answers. All of us, we can all get together and find the answers on how to fix this stuff. Because it's a mess. I see these headlines out here all the time. And, every day I'm looking at these headlines and I know what these kids are facing. And the whole system is so screwed up. And I'm not running down the system. I'm just saying that it needs to be taken apart and fixed because it's not working. The system, the children are slipping through the cracks. Little babies, children are slipping through the cracks. And it's kind of like people say, well, they blame the system. For me, I blame the people who are responsible for that abuse. I blame the people who are responsible for putting that child in the system's way anyway, and that's the parents and the caregivers. The children should never end up in the system in the first place, right? Shouldn't be any reason for it. I know where to put the blame. You know what I mean? So, the system needs work, but we really need to I'm all for education, so I say let's just reach these younger generations, these kids, these children in elementary school, and start working with them. Every school, every county, every town, every city, every state, every province, everywhere, and start working with these young people in a national program so that they will not grow up to abuse their children. Wouldn't that be great if we could stop child abuse? I think it's totally doable. I think it's completely doable. And I think that we could stop the amount of children being abused if we could reach these young people. Might not ever fully be able to stop it. There'll always be somebody out there who just thinks they just have to abuse their child for whatever reason. But I just think that it's doable that we could get the numbers down. You know what I mean? Because this is ridiculous. Oh my God. When you think about what people are doing to their children, like right now as we're speaking, it makes me sick to my stomach because I know I grew up in a house like that. And, it's absolutely horrific what kids are going through. And who's at fault? Who's responsible? Whoever's looking after them. Whether it's their parents or a parent or a caregiver, somebody, it's their fault. And we got to start putting the fault where the fault goes and putting the blame where the blame goes. Instead of blaming the system or blaming the government or whatever. No, we got to start blaming the people who are actually causing the abuse and causing these problems. That's where the blame really goes, right? And then we need to figure out how to fix it, and it's going to be a long haul. So, I'm always here, on these shows trying to encourage people, especially my night shows, child abuse prevention is up to us and stuff, because, we all need to get involved. I'm so glad I finally got involved, about 4.5 years ago. After I started my healing journey, I just realized that, I saw something on TV that just bothered me, and I thought, why am I not saying anything? Why am I not standing up? Why am I just sitting here on the couch when I know what it's like to watch my mother be beaten and raped, And I know what it's like to see my brothers being beaten as children and kicked around and cursed at, and just made to feel like worthless, And I know what it's like for that to happen to me. And I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to sit here. I thought, my God, you know what I mean? I know what it's like for these people to be suffering, I've been there. I lived my whole life like that as a child, and growing up all the way through with my dysfunctional family. So it's like, what, am I just going to sit here and not say anything? I couldn't stay silent anymore. I really couldn't. I couldn't sit on the couch anymore. I thought I have to get involved, And so I just like to encourage people, you know what I mean? When that fire hits you, man, just get up and do it because, we need everybody in on this. And you may not be able to devote the kind of time that I do to it, I was spending an incredible amount of time with Dreamcatchers for Abused Children, night after night, day after day. All my time pretty well, except for what I was researching for my own healing journey and my own stuff was devoted to Dreamcatchers for Abused Children. And it still will be, but it won't be Dreamcatchers for Abused Children. It'll just be to stop child abuse. I'll still be doing the same thing. And, it's just, it's something I have to do. I've only got so much time left on this planet, and I figure, hey, I'd really rather use it wisely and do something good for this world and try to help these children out, while I'm here, because it brings me a lot of happiness to think that maybe we could make a difference, for these children, right? My life's been a life of hell, you know what I mean? That's why I wrote my story, a life of death to redemption, because my life has been a living hell, you know what I mean? And I'm never really going to be completely healed, because I'm never going to be in denial about my childhood, So I'm never going to sit there and at the end of the road and say, oh, that's it. I feel so much better. I'll never have to think about that again. I mean, because I'm not going to deny what happened to me, The truth is truth, right? So I can't even fool myself, right? And so the issue is that, I'm not going to ever be 100% whole person, right? I'm not going to be able to, I can still find joy in things. Sure I can. I can have fun and I can laugh and I love good people, because I grew up with people that were not good people, right? So I have a real appreciation for good people, and I have a real appreciation for people who care about people, and who genuinely care, right? And who just aren't just pretending like they care, but people who really care, because they show you they care. And those kind of people, I love those kind of people, you know what I mean? And I try to surround myself with them, you know what I mean? And I've been really blessed, because I have had some awesome people in my lifetime that have helped me through some pretty dark times, you know what I mean? And so it's good, right? But I'm not going to ever be undamaged by this abuse, right? There's really no way to ever go back and undo that damage. But what I have to learn, and what I'm learning on my healing journey, which is, I've been on my healing journey for 4.5 years now, but I've done a lot of work in the last 2 years. Anyway, starting this blog talk show really helped me out, and writing my book also. And that was started on a blog, and then it got published into a book. But it just helped to start talking about it. And, I've made some huge progress, absolute huge progress, because I've learned, what I will tolerate, what I won't tolerate in this lifetime, and what my goals are, what my goals are not, So it really did show me a lot. And also that, I can learn to change, and I can learn to change the way I feel about myself. I can't change the past, This is a done deal. I'm never going to ever get what I needed from my mother. You know what I mean? Never. I will never be able to have her take back what she did to me. I'll never be able to take back the beatings that she dished out to me, the cursing, the screaming. You know what I mean? The raging, the spitting on me and beating on me. I'm never going to be able to take that back. You know what I mean? Like, she's never going to be able to take that back and hold me and hug me and tell me, I love you, daughter, and I'm so sorry, and and just hold me and say, I'll never do that again, ever. She's never going to be able to do that for me. She's long dead, right? And on her deathbed, pretty well, she said she was going to haunt me for the rest of my life, which she was actually very accurate and very true. She was a horrible woman, you know what I mean? And it's like, I'll never be able to get what I needed from that, And it's the same with my dad. I'll never be able to get the relationship that I needed, this father-daughter relationship, never. I'm not going to be able to go back and undo the damage that was done. I'm not going to ever be able to go back and undo the damage that was done to me being sexually abused as a child. Just never going to be able to happen. I can't go back and stop my brother from doing that to me. I mean, this is a done deal, right? So the damage is done, and I think that that's why I fight so hard to stop child abuse. That's why it's so important to me, because I know what these kids are going through, and I know that they're going to face a life of this hellhole of an existence based on the fact that they didn't receive what they needed as a child. This is absolutely ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's like, sometimes I wish people, like, I wouldn't wish my life on anybody. I really wouldn't. It would be like a miserable thing to do. Like, I wouldn't wish my existence on anybody. It's a place of a lot of darkness, a lot of hell, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But I really wish people could walk about 10 minutes in my shoes, and just have some of it flash by and see what it's like to be abused like that, and to see their family just destroyed and destructed around them. You know what I mean? And that there was no chance of hope ever. Not for me as a child, there wasn't, right? Not even as a teenager. I mean, that all came a lot later. And so, you know what I'm saying? Like it'd be incredibly hard for somebody to do that. And I know I put myself in these other survivors' shoes, and I know where they've been. You know what I mean? Like, and it's absolutely horrific. And no child should ever be treated that way. Never, right? I mean, people shouldn't be treating adults that way, so they certainly shouldn't be treating children that way. Like, children are precious, and they're innocent until the world gets a hold of them. You know, they're innocent and pure and lovely until the world just warps them. You know what I mean? And like, there's you know, a whole lot of really bad teaching going on from parents. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not training and teaching their children properly. It's just abusing them, whatever it is. It's psychological abuse, mental abuse, verbal, emotional, psychological abuse, you know, or physical abuse, or child sexual abuse. People just love to abuse children, you know, and that's really sad, right? I mean, that's absolutely pathetic. I mean, when you think about the numbers, you know, there's like one in 3 girls and now they're saying 4 boys will be sexually abused under the age of 18 in some way. So whether that's unwanted sexual touching, molestation, you know, exploitation, rape, you name it. That's what the numbers are. That's the truth of it. That's only what's reported. People standing up and saying, hello, I was sexually abused as a child, or the reports coming in where reports were made. And so, you know, there's more. There's more than that. It's absolutely horrific. Why is the big question. I keep asking myself that. Why would anybody want to use a child sexually? I can't get my head wrapped around it. Adults should be having sex with adults, right? I don't know why anybody would want to do anything else. These are sick people. These are moms. These are dads. These are brothers. These are sisters. These are cousins. You know, these are grandmas and grandpas, believe it or not. Lots of grandmas and grandpas actually sexually abuse children. Just check out the newspaper headlines. Aunts and uncles, you know, neighbors, coaches, teachers, mentors. Anybody who has access to the child. Well, 1 in 3 girls, really, and 1 in 4 boys. That's the stats. Will be sexually abused in some way or another. And the stats really are about the same for child physical abuse and all the rest of it, right? About 1 in 3 to 4 girls and 1 in 7 boys will be abused in some way, whether it's child physical abuse, verbal, emotional, psychological abuse, neglect, you name it. So it's just ridiculous. Like, I mean, it just makes me angry that people do these things to their children. I grew up watching people beat on their children. I mean, talking not a spanking, you know what I mean? I'm talking like the 1970s were this rife with that kind of stuff. People were just trashing their kids and treating them like shit. You know, just berating them and, you know, calling them names and throwing them around and beating the crap out of them. And it was perfectly fine. You could do that out in your front yard. I mean, you could literally trash your kid out in a parking lot. My mom used to beat the crap out of me in parking lots, and nobody would say a word. You know what I mean? They wouldn't even say a word. It's just like nobody would say, excuse me, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you're hurting that child. Is there something I can do? You know, but people are afraid. That's why people are like, oh, I'm not getting near that person. Look, if they're attacking that kid, they'll attack me. Right? It's like, you know, my mother could have took them on. You know, I mean, my mother's like a football player. She was like 280 pounds, and weight was about 5'10", 5'11". My mom was almost 6 feet tall, and she wore a size 10 shoe, and she was about 260 pounds, and she could kick your ass. You know what I mean? And you would feel it. She was not fooling. You know what I mean? Like she would physically just pound me. You know what I mean? Into the dirt, and she had no problem spilling my blood, right? No problem at all. And then she'd tell me to clean it up. So my bedroom was full of my blood, and not only from her, but from my brother, from this child sexual abuse that I suffered. When they ripped up the carpet, I knew people that moved into that place when we moved out, and they ripped up the carpet and changed the carpet out. And the lady says, yeah, there was that one bedroom that had a whole lot of blood underneath on the carpet, on the padding. I was like, that's mine. And she was like, she goes, well, to be honest with you, I kind of had a feeling because they knew we lived there, you know, and they knew our story and stuff. And she says, I just had a feeling because I used to talk to her son because her son was abused as a child as well. She got out of that abusive environment. She got away from that man who was her father's, her husband's, her child's father, the father of my friend, stabbed him in the kidney in the back when he was a little kid. And was abusive, you know, and so she left him and got her kid some help. And so they were, you know, she was basically on the run from this guy. And so they moved into this place, and I knew these people, and I used to go and talk to them, and I used to talk to her son. So, you know, they used to sort of know my situation. And this was when I was a teenager, right? And my mother didn't mind spilling my blood. No. No problem. You know what I mean? Like, and this is how people are. This is how people are. This is what happens. This is what's going to happen to children tonight. As we're speaking, people are going to be beating their children, breaking their children's heads, you know, breaking their kids' faces, you know, knocking their teeth out, giving them bloody noses and fat lips and everything else, you know, breaking their arms and legs and sexually using them, raping them, sodomizing them, molesting them, you know, you name it, right? Going to be yelling and screaming names at them and throwing them into closets and locking doors and, you know, beating them with belts and other implements, right? This is absolutely sick and twisted, and it makes me angry because all of this shit is what happened to me. And it just makes me so mad that people think there's no big deal about child abuse. It's like, no, okay, do you want to be treated like that? You know, do you want to be, especially the people that you love that are hurting you, they're supposed to be loving you and they're hurting you? You know, do you want to be treated like that and be told that you're worthless and that you should have died and you're just, you know, they should have killed you and have your life threatened? I mean, my mom used to throw me against the wall and choke me and say, "I'm going to kill you," and she'd be choking me, and I was like, "Go ahead. I don't care. You've already killed me. Just finish it off." You know? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, no kid should ever, ever, ever be treated that way. You want to talk about a lack of respect. And then my parents wanted respect from their children, and it was like, you got to be kidding. You know? Like, you got to be joking. That was the big joke. They were like, I don't think so. Can't respect that. There's no respect in that, you know? So, parents, you know, if you're listening, do not do that to your children. Right? Please, right? I mean, my God, they're not put here for you to use and abuse. And people like to think they are. My mom used to say stuff like that. She'd be like, "Well, you're my children. If I want to kill you, goddammit, I can kill you." You know, because the social workers were involved. And she didn't like that, right? She wanted to be able to hurt us. And my dad, too, right? You know, he was like, "Well, I should just kill us all. You know, God would be pleased. He'd be happy if I killed us all." Right? This was his favorite thing to say, especially on Sunday night. Right? You know, get home from church, right? And start beating on my brothers and calling my mom names, and the fight would be on, you know. And so, why no child should have to live with that. You know what I mean? You know, no, this is absolutely unacceptable. Unacceptable. So that's why I do what I do. You know, now whether I do it with Dreamcatchers for Abused Children or some other group. You know, right now I'm with Lamplighters because I'm opening up a chapter up here in Calgary, Lamplighters movement for child sexual abuse survivors, as well as domestic violence and abuse and sexual assault. So I'm going to facilitate a group up here in Calgary, and you know, so I'm going to do that. But I'm also going to be still advocating to stop child abuse. That's my main thing. I want to help survivors too, but my main thing is to stop child abuse. So I'll just continue on. You know, I'll just continue on, and I will always support Dreamcatchers for Abused Children, you know, because in my own way. Like, I'm not going to be a part of them and all that, but I will always support their work. You know what I mean? Because I love what they're doing, and I love what Sandra Potter started. I think she started with the best of intentions. I think she's got a good heart, and I think that she really wants to see child abuse stopped, and she wouldn't have devoted so much time to this if she didn't. And you know, you look at some of the other people that are involved with Dreamcatchers for Abused Children. They're so committed, you know, and they're just going and going and going, and you know, and that's what it takes. That's exactly what it takes. So I mean, I give them, you know, I just wish them all the best, right? And you know, we'll just, you know, we're all in the same team. I'm just doing something different now, but you know, we're still on the same team because we're out here trying to save children's lives. So whoever you decide to help, you know, make sure that you get involved. Get involved locally, get involved nationally, get involved internationally. But whatever you do, make sure you get involved because we need everybody in on this, right? So I'll be back on tomorrow morning probably. I think I'll do tomorrow morning's show because I haven't done a Saturday show for a long time because I've been so busy with Dreamcatchers. So now that I'm not with Dreamcatchers, I'll be able to catch up on some of my shows. So I'll be doing a show tomorrow morning as well as then Sunday morning with Kate Swift. So I hope you can catch that. That's going to be awesome. So thanks everybody for being here. Have a great night. You know, take good care of yourselves. You know, learn the signs and symptoms of child abuse and learn how to report it and make sure that you do. You know, you could save a child's life, right? Have a great night, everybody.